Well, after running the Gaza Strip for nearly 2 decades, Hamas has announced the dissolution of its governing committee. This paves the way for a transitional technocratic committee to assume responsibility. The committee's activities will be overseen by the Board of Peace, which was set up by US President Donald Trump when the ceasefire between Hamas and Israel was agreed in October.
The head of the emergency committee has just resigned. The government has been dissolved for the preparations to transfer the national roles to the Gaza Management Commission. It's with confidence that all the preparations for the handover of legal responsibilities of Gaza Strip has been completed. These arrangements were presented in a transparent and official manner to the delegation representing the Palestinian factions and the Higher Commission of Tribes.
Well, despite the ceasefire, Israeli attacks are continuing across Gaza. Israeli forces have killed at least 6 Palestinians on Monday. 4 people were killed in 2 separate attacks in Khan Yunis, and several others were injured. And in Gaza City, 2 people were killed when an apartment building was hit. Israel has killed more than 1,000 people and wounded over 3,000 since the truce took effect. Well, in a moment, we'll get the Israeli reaction from Nour Odeh in Ramallah in the occupied West Bank. But first, let's speak to Hani Mahmoud in Gaza City. Hani, how significant a move is this by Hamas? And perhaps you can talk us through what it actually means in practice.
Well, I happened to be at the press conference where we heard the announcement by the spokesperson of the media government office, and it basically suggests that Hamas has stepped back from directly governing civilians across the Gaza Strip. The language of the statement was very clear and straight to the point, just dissolving the governance of the Gaza Strip here by Hamas and its element. Doesn't talk about relinquishing political power, doesn't talk about relinquishing the military wing or disarming, doesn't even talk about suggest this might come later on, but at this particular time it's been viewed as the confidence building measures that Hamas is flexible, Hamas is responding positively and giving the mediator the opportunity to advance talks to post-war elements of the agreement, of the ceasefire agreement, and hopefully transitioning to phase 2. It has been an obstacle for the past month since the announcement of the ceasefire. We went through phase 1 that hasn't been fully implemented by the Israeli side, and the talk about transitioning to phase 2 without fulfilling the phase 1. There are still many challenges involving the ceasefire agreement. This does not, the hope here, it impacts the ceasefire in a positive way, but when you look on the ground, there are many of the challenges involving the implementation of the ceasefire. Chief among them is the withdrawal of the Israeli military from areas that has been controlling over the past months across the Gaza Strip, the expansion of the yellow line that prevents any meaningful governance body across the Gaza Strip. Here's what exactly it means. It shows that there is concession in negotiations here, that Hamas is flexible, given the opportunity, and pave the way for the technocratic committee to arrive to the Gaza Strip as soon as possible, assume power, and avoid expanding the power vacuum that has been causing a lot of problem to Palestinians. It also facilitates an alternative administration. That has been the demand of not just the mediators, but also the Israeli side, the American side, that Hamas not to continue governing the Gaza Strip. But again, it doesn't involve talking about disarming. It doesn't talk about relinquishing the political power completely across the Gaza Strip. It also removes obstacles, and that's the hope of everyone, the obstacles in the way of implementing the ceasefire fully. And again, so far, since the ceasefire was signed, we're looking at more than 1,000 Palestinians have been killed, and almost the number is the exact number, a little over, of Palestinians injured. Also, the crossings are not operating as supposed to be. So there are still many of the challenges that are not addressed here.
Hani, I'll pick up some of those last points with you in a moment. Don't go anywhere. We're going to cross now to Nour Odeh, who's in Ramallah in the occupied West Bank. And Nour, listening to Hani there, this is Hamas showing its flexibility, showing it's willing to make concessions in terms of its obligations. Does this sort of toss the ball, if you like, into Israel's court to do likewise?
Well, it does in theory, but the Israeli government hasn't issued an official statement, but a senior official source is quoted by Israeli media saying that the Hamas announcement is nothing but propaganda, a media maneuver to try and ease the mounting pressure. Let's just take a step back. In the past few days, Israel has been talking about allegations that Hamas was rebuilding, that Hamas is entrenching its control in Gaza, that it does not want to disarm, and that in fact the Board of Peace, that its representative Nikolai Mladinov wanted to assign blame to Hamas for not moving the ceasefire agreement forward, for not wanting to disarm. This announcement this afternoon kind of muddies the water on the Israeli narrative, because it does offer the mediators, the Board of Peace, Mladinov himself, and the National Committee for the Administration of Gaza some wiggle room to talk about next steps, possibly taking over control and then beginning a process of disarmament the way that the factions are talking about it, instead of conditioning reconstruction to disarmament, which is what the Israeli Prime Minister had said less than 24 hours ago. Nothing will be rebuilt in Gaza until and unless Hamas completely disarms, not just resigns from overseeing Gaza.
Nour, I'm going to bring Hani back in, Hani Mahmoud in Gaza City. So the Israelis discounting this move, showing no obvious sign of responding positively in kind, Hani, nor any sign of letting up in their attacks on the Strip.
Oh, it's not just the narrative that has been quite negative and not responding in a way that these things might move forward, but on the ground we're seeing attacks are still happening, and not just today. Over the past month, we've seen a scale rise in the attacks, almost like picking up as intensive as the early weeks of the war, where more of the airstrikes targeted many of the areas. Just within the span of 12 hours, we look at 4 of the airstrikes, one in Gaza City at about 2 a.m. and overnight attacks that killed a man and his wife inside his flat here in Gaza City, in one of the neighborhoods that happens to be a dense neighborhood full of not just the resident but also displaced families around the area that was targeted. Further southern part of the Strip in the city of Hani, where 2 attacks happened just within the span of 1 hour. One on the coastal road that targeted a vehicle moving on a Rashid, the coastal road, where 2 people were reported killed right away, 2 of the passengers of that vehicle, and 15 other injuries were reported to Al Ahli Hospital in Khan Yunis city. The other attack happened in the heart of Khan Yunis city, in the middle of a displacement camp, where a tent was targeted by a drone strike. 2 more people were reported killed, and several other with severe injuries. One attack that was reported in southern part of Deir al-Balah city that targeted a vehicle. The initial reports that were made available that the targets managed to escape the area, but their vehicle was caught fire and it was burned completely, but no injuries and no casualties reported from this attack. And just for the record, the drones haven't left the skies of the Gaza Strip. One time you would hear them right in this area. Another time reports coming from the central area or further the southern part of the Strip, coupled with the quadcopters that keep patrolling the area between the area that is under the Israeli control, better known as the Yellow Line, and its vicinity, where many of the people set their tents and try to stay in the area adjacent to the Yellow Line part.
My thanks to you both for bringing us the view on that Hamas announcement, both from Gaza, Mahmoud in Gaza, Hani Mahmoud, and Nour Odeh in Ramallah. Thank you both.